with our guest, William Lee Golden from the superstar group Oak Ridge Boys, and their show is Thursday, September 25th at the Old National Events Plaza.
You
We're
guys
coming.
have you are coming. It's going to be awesome. You guys have seen a lot of changes over the years. I would be interested to know your thoughts on how the music industry has changed in the 50 years plus that you guys have been involved.
Well, I first joined the Oak Ridge Boys in 1965 in January. So that's basically 6 decades ago. But
Wow.
watching how it's how the Oak Ridge Boys have evolved, back at that time when we were touring, we were a gospel group, and we took a piano player with us. We'd come to Nashville, we would record in the studios with full bands, but usually on the road, it was not economical for especially young gospel kids as we were at that time. But and then we were together, Dwayne Allen and I, our great lead singer. He joined in '66, and we've been together here and watched a lot of changes in the music business and everything else. One of the biggest changes in the industry, actually, as you probably know, is when they brought digital recording into place here in Nashville. And I remember all of that, when they would bring the big digital machines in to record with. And but that's been one change. But the music itself evolves and changes, and I love where country music is today. You got your exciting people like uh, Ella Langley, and then Lainey Wilson, Jelly Roll, Morgan Wallen. Those people are making great music. And I'm glad to see the country music is really the largest music platform in the whole world right now. It's when you got people like Beyonce and Post Malone them and Kid Rock coming to Nashville and wanting to embrace country music. Well, that kind of tells you where the situation is out there in the marketplace. But yeah, I'm happy to be in country music, and it has evolved. It's evolved since the Oak Ridge Boys first recorded our first country album was in 1977. We recorded the Y'all Come Back Saloon, and we had 3 singles off that. It was released to radio. It was the Y'all Come Back Saloon, and then I'll Be True to You was the third. That was the first one to go #1. But we also had You're the One in a Million off that album. But the Oak Ridge Boys are a harmony singing group, basically. That's where
Picked
we
up on that. You guys are all about the harmony.
Okay, so how did the dynamic of the group change in 1973 with the addition of tenor Joe?
Yeah, we lost Joe last year. He suffered for 3 years with ALS,
Oh
and so
no.
Lou Gehrig's disease, and it's degenerative muscular issue is what it is, and to watch him go down, it was heart-wrenching. Joe was a
Goodness sakes.
Yeah, he was a trooper to the end. And what's happened since Joe left, in fact, Joe passed the guy the torch and passed him a microphone. This young kid, Ben James, he's a great young kid that's an incredible tenor singer, actually. And but he had come wanting to help Joe out. He was familiar with our music. Ben's in his 20s, and he grew up with our music. But one night we worked with him, and he was with Daly and Vincent, a bluegrass group, and we worked with him in Wheeling, West Virginia. And we asked them to come on stage with their group at the end of our show on Elvira and Bobby Sue, 2 up-tempo songs. And so they did. And Joe handed Ben the mic on the second verse of Elvira. And Ben took it and went with it. And man, we said, good grief, this kid is really good. But, but then, Joe told him then one night, called him and said, get your singing britches on, Ben. Said, the Oaks needs you, and I want you to go out there and help them. Said, I can't go any further. And he come with us. We didn't even have a rehearsal, but he never missed a word and never missed a note the entire evening. And I was amazed by his talent and him to have all that in his mind, because I couldn't do it. Anyhow, Tony Brown heard Ben James sing. Tony is he's the most successful record producer in the history of Nashville. He's had over 100 #1 Billboard top #1 country
Wow.
That's a
songs.
lot.
And he's produced the last 20 albums with George Strait and Reba McEntire and Vince
Wow.
Gill. When he heard Ben James sing, he come up to him, and I heard him tell him, said, man, he said, you're a brand new generation. with that high, lonesome sound like Vince Gill. He said, "You're a brand new generation with a Vince Gill sound." And so that's about as high a compliment as any singer could get coming into Nashville to make it in the music business.
That is a
No doubt about
very
it.
good compliment, especially for a 20-year-old.
You guys are like one of the few guests whose background is just a national treasure, really. Your group has had such an esteemed career. Can you tell us about your history with the Hall of Fame and the various other vast amount of accolades that you guys have gathered along the way?
Well, like I said, the Oak Ridge Boys were going before any of us came here. It just happened that the ones that have been together for the past 50 years or so were all the same group. Dwayne Allen and I, Dwayne's our great lead singer. Dwayne plays a major part in our music in helping us find songs to record and working with producers and all. Dwayne majored in music in college and choral arrangements and all of that. So he's been a backbone of the Oak Ridge Boys sound and music for 6 decades now. And but yeah, man, it's been the songs that we've recorded and continuing recording through the years. In fact, we just got a brand new album this past year with our young singer Ben James. And we just won a Telly Award for a music video that we did from that album. And it was an album that Dave Cobb produced. Dave Cobb is another hot young producer in Nashville. He produces all of Chris Stapleton's albums and some of the young guys that are winning all the awards now. But this is 5 albums that we've done with Dave Cobb over the past 12 years.
That's
And
quite a lineup.
anyhow, he wanted us to do an album about mothers and call it Mama's Boys, and to have something to do with mothers. And it was the first album that Ben recorded with us last year. We released a music video last fall, and man, it became really, it won a Telly Award this year. So
That is awesome.
That is very cool.
guys, that's a pretty good deal.
No doubt
Yeah.
about it.
You guys have a lot of albums. I see your albums all the time.
Well, you
I
know,
know we just. Oh, I'm sorry. Do I?
you asked a question about some of the things that we've accomplished along the way. We won several awards in gospel music when we were just gospel singers. The first 10 years that basically we were out there touring, and then since 1977, we've won several awards in country music. We've won Grammy Awards. We've won Country Music Association Awards. We've won ACM, Academy of Country Music Awards. We've now members of the Grand Ole Opry for a few years, and we've also been inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame, and we've been inducted into the Gospel Music Hall of Fame. So that's some of our background, but we're still recording. To me, every day is a new day to prove that you still got what you had. I mean, we continue to grow and evolve in life. And that's a reason that we find that, especially after last year and a lot of the losses that we had, music has a healing power, mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. And so we found that with these boys, getting together and harmonizing, it's been healing for us and uplifting. So we need that.
Yes. Yes, we do. Music is very healing.
You have an incredible staying power. You guys have been around so long.
We were discussing your beard prior to all of this, but I wanted to bring it back up because this part will be shown to everybody. So your beard has gained a lot of popularity, and but the fame of your own beard is perhaps only second to the fame of the Oak Ridge Boys. So what happened to your razor in 1980?
Well, I lost my razor, and that's when I bought
As it turns out, it was an unnecessary expense, right?
Yeah, in the 60s and 70s, I was a real clean cut guy. I was a GQ guy, but then I lost my razor in 1980, and I still haven't found it. It took about 3 years for this beard to get for its full length.
Wow.
And,
How long is your beard?
I don't
Past
know.
belly button.
What happened is it gets to a certain length, and then it don't get any longer. It just gets whiter. So It was a dark beard when I first started.
Maybe it got scared. But I don't think that's the case. As you said, the Oak Ridge Boys evolved from a gospel group to country super mega stars. I'm sure that was a conscious decision, but was there a way that came to pass?
Well, what happened with the Oak Ridge Boys, it was in the early 70s when Richard had come with the group and Joe had just come with the group. Jim Halsey, who was managing, he's a top country music manager at that time and still is. Uh, he come to the Oak Ridge Boys. He's managed Roy Clark since his full career. Mel Tillis. He worked with Minnie Pearl and a lot of the top country and acts in his time, but he managed the Oak Ridge Boys. He was able to take us and put us. Jim Halsey had an LA office, a Nashville office, and a Tulsa office. And he had a LA office concentrating on television. Well, he was able to take us, and when we were having country hit records, we would get to introduce these songs on like the Tonight Show. And rather than to sit at the couch and make fools of ourselves, we chose to do a second song rather than couch time. And we would get to sing a song or two on the Tonight Show back in our day when Johnny Carson was there. And but Jim Halsey had the connections to take country music further than what most Nashville connections could do. And he concentrated on that. He realized how important that was in any artist's career. But it was getting together with Jim Halsey and him plugging us into his agency. And we're now booked by the William Morris Agency for several years. But Jim Halsey still manages us. He's in his 90s and about as sharp as a tack. And
Wow.
so he's still got a lot of great ideas, man. And we're still working together. We were scheduled to record another project this next month, but that's been slowed down because our producers had other commitments during that time that we could do it. And so we're going to put that into January, it looks like. Anyhow, we're still doing that, man. We're still making music, still trying to be creative. And most of all, we're going out and singing our songs together. And that's been the most healing part of all of our music.
As you had mentioned, the Oak Ridge Boys evolved from a gospel group to really country superstars. Why did you choose to make that change? Just broader exposure?
Well, what it was we were young gospel singers. And we found out after winning awards there and in 69 and 70, kind of being at the top of that business, so to speak, one of the 3 or 4 or 5 top groups in gospel music. We realized that we were in a limited business and singing songs that people only wanted to hear about once a week, and that's on Sunday. But as we're all having to live 7 days a week, I thought it was important for us to sing songs about each day of the week and life as it is, and songs about love. And that's what we did, man. And but that's who we are. I mean, we're not, you feel better about what you do. We were working with people like Johnny Cash and those people that, and Roy Clark and these people. We thought, man, these people they're more Christian than a lot of these gospel singers that sometimes we're out there butting heads with, on the road. But
well,
yeah,
it seems to have worked out great for you guys. Gosh, I can't think of another group that has conquered more ground than you guys, just decade after decade after decade. Wow.
Well, there was one song that really helped propel us from a young country act into more of a mainstream and a household name act. Was in 1981. We had started our country career in 1977 with the Y'all Come Back Saloon. And in 1981, we had another album we had just cut, and it had a song on there. It was 16 years old that Dallas Frazier wrote. And we had recorded some Dallas songs before, but our record producer, Ron Chancey, brought Elvira into the studio, and we recorded it. It was a lot of fun to record. We put the high tenor singing the lead on it, and then on the chorus doing the step out lines with the bass singer doing the boom, papa, mow, mow. And that's what set the song apart from any other version that Dallas had had. I know Charlie Rich had it on an album. Kenny Rogers, the first edition, had Elvira on an album, Something's Burning. And then Rodney Crowell had it out on an album. And anyhow, the Oak Ridge Boys version, the first time that we sang it in concert was in Spokane, Washington. We got to the venue that afternoon at the arena, and we went on stage and rehearsed it with our band. We decided, okay, we'll put it in the middle of the set list here tonight and just check it out. Well, we went down, and that song came up. We sang it. At the end of the song, I've never heard an audience explode like that audience did. They and would not stop it. I mean, they went on and on and on. We backed up, said, what we do? Said, let's sing it again. We did it.
I mean, that doesn't ever happen on the first time that you put it out there, right? Right?
In response, and we wound up singing it 3 times there. And then with the rest of the show, nothing got them excited. Even when we did the last song, that didn't get them as excited. And we did Elvira one more time, and it exploded again. But we did it.
Awesome.
We did it the next night in Seattle, was the same thing. The next night in Portland, Oregon, was the same thing. We called the record label on a Monday morning and said, hey, we don't know what you got in plan to release off this album, but this is what's happening out here with Elvira. And that's
got to be a good feeling.
Well, it's the biggest song we ever had. It's the first song we ever had that the singles even went gold and platinum. So
incredible.
It was the
So
most.
at the second and third show that you talked about, did you also have to sing it 3 or 4 times as well?
We had to sing it 3 or 4 times in each town then. But then when it was released, we had to move it down to the end of the show because nothing else could follow it at that time.
What a great feeling that must have been. Gee.
And that's a good story for that song.
And it sold the records, and it went up to the top of the country chart, spilled right over into pop, rock and roll. Every station in America in the summer of 1981 was playing Elvira by the Oak Ridge Boys.
The very definition of a crossover hit, I guess.
Yes, it was.
Incredible.
So can you tell us about the relationship between your group and President George Herbert Walker Bush?
Well, we were friends of the Bush family. They would invite the Oak Ridge Boys up to Kennebunkport, George and Barbara would, every year about this time. It would be in August or September to come up and spend 3 days with them up at Kennebunkport. How we got to be friends with them is we realized Ronald Reagan had invited us to come to the White House to sing on the White House lawn when he had a big barbecue for everybody in the House and the Senate to come to a barbecue there and for all parties. And anyhow, we were doing a sound check in the afternoon, and here comes this long, lanky guy down through there with an armful of things. And it was Vice President Bush. So he was coming with an arm of T-shirts. He requested a couple of songs for us to sing and sound check. And we realized that these songs were not radio songs. They were off of an album cut. So he had to have had the album, and found out he was a big fan of the Oak Ridge Boys and did buy our music and was listening to it. And so we sang him a couple of songs off of some album cuts that for him, he said he couldn't stay that night. He was flying to Europe for some event, but he gave us all T-shirts. But after that, we become closer friends, and they invited us to Kennebunkport every year with our wives, the 4 singers and our wives, and we'd go up and stay in their homes with them, and they're at Walker's Point. So we have a lot of wonderful memories of. There's things that you might not know about the president. When they become president and after they're president, they're not allowed to drive a car.
Really?
So Barbara was able to drive her little car, but he couldn't drive a car, but he could drive his boat. We would go in the daytime. He'd take us out into the water. We'd come back, he'd park the boat, but and man, the tide goes way up and down up there up in Maine. But he's a speed demon on that boat, man. It was one of them, hold on, son. He is wide open when he comes out of that pass where they live. When he gets into the open water, he kicks it to the top, and you better hold on because he's hitting the top of those waves.
What a great story. Are there any causes or charities that you guys publicly are very passionate about?
For several years, we would get friends together in Dallas, Texas, and do a thing called Stars for Children. It was people there that did a child abuse prevention people that we worked through. And we'd raise money there and get other artists to come sing with us there. We've done that, but then we all have our own personal charities
Sure.
and choice.
Not so much as a group, huh?
But as far as a group doing that, we haven't done those concerts like that. I know we're doing a thing here in our hometown coming up next month, but as far as a charity out, we haven't tied in with anything recently.
So I've read the group teamed up with a Capella group, Home Free, in 2015. What was that like? Have there been other musical collaborations with other groups or artists that you've done?
Or which one you were talking about?
Home Free,
Free in 2015.
The Home Free guys? Yeah, we did. What happened is they're a vocal harmony group, a cappella group is what they are. But they record different songs a cappella without a band, and they're real talented guys. But they had recorded Elvira and wanted the Oak Ridge Boys to come sing in the studio, and they recorded and videoed that event. So we did do that with Home Free.
So that's how that came about.
Yeah.
You guys have seen a lot of changes over the years. I would be interested to know your thoughts on how the music industry has changed in the last 50 years plus, in particular for you guys. There has to be vastly different ways that you go about getting your product out, I'm guessing.
Well, you're right, man. It's you guys that play a big part of what's going on in the music industry today. It's you guys with podcasts. That's changed. You know, where it used to be the old school of things, now social media and the platforms of social media and podcasts are the new communication tools in the world we live in today. I mean, everybody's got their phones and they got the people on them that they want, but they're getting their news and everything else on their phone now. I mean, you can do everything on it. It's got cameras. It's got, email, text, all that stuff. So that's kind of what I've done. I rarely go to my computer anymore.
Are you a tech fan? Yes or no? What do you think? I know there's advantages and disadvantages, but overall, what do you think?
What about texting?
No, tech, just the changes. And
Okay.
are you up on all that, or you don't have to be because you got people to handle that?
Well, we're lost without it. Is what they've got us doing. You know, if we're not working, we're not working. We feel like we're lost. I do. I mean, you lose your phone. Oh, good grief! What's going on here? Where's it at?
Yeah, it's a love-hate relationship, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Is there any venue that sticks out to you that was your favorite, like your favorite performance that you've ever done?
Wow. I don't know. I know one that we did one time was it was on the 4th of July, way back when. We were all on a plane. We went to Philadelphia and did a big thing there. It was the Oak Ridge Boys, the Beach Boys, like I remember Mr. T was on that plane, and several other people, singers and all, but we went there and did a big afternoon show. Then we was all shuttled back to the airplane and we all flew to Washington, D.C. I mean, we did 600,000 there in Philadelphia. Went to D.C. and they was flying in over it, and you could see just people, a sea of people down there. They said it was 1,500,000 people.
Wow. Holy moly.
But and to be on that stage and to see people as far as you can see in every direction and down side streets, that was a surreal type experience within itself, and realizing we're out there with the Beach Boys and these other groups. rock and roll bands, and we were all out there on one big plane together and doing a 4th of July celebration of our country. And so that was a great memory.
Was it nerve-wracking?
Well, it was just it wasn't that nerve-wracking. It was you were so excited and happy to be playing with these other people that you admired their talents, and so it was a lot of fun, really.
Yeah.
You guys have gathered so many honors and accolades. Do you have a personal high point that may surprise people beyond all the millions of records that you guys have sold? Anything come to mind?
Well, I don't know, man. It's hard to pinpoint situation there because through the years it's been a lot of situations, and we do a lot of different things.
I guess
But
it'd probably be more fair to say for each decade, you guys have just outlasted everybody. I mean, you figure most bands, even when they get going good, if they're hanging in there for 6 or 8 years, that's an incredible run. And then you look at you guys and you say, oh my goodness, wow.
Yeah. Well, again, we talked earlier about some of the people that we've been able to sing with and do music with. We've also been able to sing and record with Ray Charles back in the day, with Kenny Rogers, God rest his soul, with George Jones, God rest him. But people like that, and Patti LaBelle, Joe Walsh, playing on records with us. And so, man,
I've seen it all.
Well, every day has its own memories. And to me, you might have done good yesterday, but if you can't do it again today, if you can't equal what you did or do it better, then you're slipping the other way. So I work out hard to try to keep up with everybody.
You are an extraordinary individual, as is your group. Wow, what staying power. It just boggles the mind.
Well, William, it was really good to talk to you. This was a good conversation, I feel like. And thank you very much for taking the time to talk with us. So,
And
oh no, I'll finish the last line when we're done.
All right, Meredith and Patrick,
yes,
thank
sir.
y'all for being on the monkey here, the Space Monkey.
Space Monkey.
Space Monkey Record.
The original primate.
So let me say one thing before I leave. Everybody stay tuned. This is William Lee Golden with the Oak Ridge Boys. Stay tuned to the Space Monkey here with Meredith and Patrick.
And you can catch the Oak Ridge Boys Thursday, September 25th at the Old National Events Plaza right here in Evansville, Indiana.
And in our books, you are the man. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Put on the great show you guys always do.
All right, everybody come out and let's party in Evansville.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good day. Bye.